Perek Yud Gimel, Mishnah Dalet. This Mishnah now sets out the minimum shiurim for the other malachas which relate to the preparation of wool. In Perek Zayin, when we listed out in Mishnah Base all the 39 malachas numbers 13 through to 19 were with that group of malachas which related to the preparation of wool. So now, having discussed oreg, we're going to discuss the other malachas which relate to the preparation of wool, and then we're going to come back and give a further definition, if you like, regarding the minimum share for oreg. So says the Mishnah, Shiur hamalabein v'hamanapetz v'hatzovea v'hatoveh. The share, the minimum amount of wool needed in order to be chayav the malacha of malabein, of whitening, of manapetz, of combing the wool, v'hatzovea, and dyeing the wool, v'hatoveh, and of spinning the wool, is kamelo rochav hasit kofel. Now, what is this share? So the Bar Tanura explains as follows. Let's read the Bar Tanura inside. Hamalaben es hatzemes, someone who whitens wool, v'hamanafzo, and combs it, v'hatzovo, dyes, v'hatovel, spins mimenu, shein kulan ovos malachas. These are all separate ovos malachas. Shiuron, the share, is kadei sheyitve me'oisa hatzemeh, is that you should spin or do whatever malacha with that piece of wool, chut aruch, a long thread of wool, kameloi rochav hasit kofel. Now, how big is that? V'hasit, this measure, is kadei hefsek sheyesh bein amma le'etzba. It's the amount of distance between the amma and the etzba, which means there is a machlokus Rashi Rambam exactly what this means. The Bar Tanura here is following the view of Rashi, and Rashi learns like this: the fingers have got names. This is the thumb, the godel. The etzba is the finger next to the thumb, and the amma is the middle finger. So says the Bar Tanura, the distance between a person's two fingers, the etzba and the amma, when stretched out, that distance is called a sit, samach yud tes. Now, says the Bar Tanura, v'chashia hareva chazeh shtei pa'amim hu sit kofel. When you take that distance between these two fingers and you double it, that is called a sit kofel. So imagine a piece of thread which is twice this distance, that is called a sit kofel. The Bar Tanura notes, v'revach sheben goydel le'etzba pamachas hu gamken kem l'rechiv hasit kofel. In other words, the difference, this amount between these two fingers, twice is the share sit kofel, is equal to the distance between the thumb and the etzba, which is that amount. So therefore, the amount of threads you would need to do libanon or manafet, sover, etc., is basically twice that when it's stretched, which is the same as that to that. The thumb through to the amma, the end of the amma. Now the Rambam learns that it's actually twice that amount. The Rambam learns that this amount, the share of Maloi Rechav Hasit Kofel, is actually twice that amount, and he gives it a share of 4 tefachim. But either way, we're talking an amount twice that, either that, according to Rashi in the Bar Tanura, or the Rambam says twice that amount. So that is the amount of thread that you'd have to do all of these malachas on in order to be chayav. That's the minimum amount. Now, back to oreg, says the Mishnah, V'ha oreg shnei chutin. If someone weaves 2 chutin, shi'ura kumelo hasit. The shear is kumelo hasit. In other words, we've said till now, we've discussed it in the earlier part of this parak, that the shear for oreg is shnei chutin. Now that means, imagine again, you've got some sort of fabric. You're weaving a scarf or a jumper or some sort of material. And you've got the fabric there, and you've got some vertical threads going up. The weaving, one chut is going in and out of all the vertical threads going up, going to the end of the fabric, and that's one chut. And then you turn around and you do another chut, that's shnei chutin. The question is though, how wide does the beged have to be? If you only sort of did a chut going sort of a third of the way, and then you turn around and you just did another chut going backwards, you could have still added another layer of weaving, but you haven't necessarily gone all the way across. So how far across do you have to go? So the Mishnah tells us, Shi'uru kumelo hasit. The melo hasit is, like we just described, not the melo hasit kofel, but the melo hasit is, according to Rashi, this shear between this finger, the etzba, and the amma, when you stretch it, that shear, I don't know, about 10 centimeters, if you go across one way of the chut, even though you don't necessarily get to the end of the beged, and then you turn around and you go back and you do shnei chutin, so then, so long as that distance that you did is more than kamaloi hasit, which is the difference between this finger and that finger, the etzbani amo, then a person would be chayiv for oreg on Shabbos. So that is the end of Mishnah Dalet.